The lights on Station Valora were always dim. The small listening post floated at the edge of known space, far from the bright center of the Galactic Union. Ambassador Yuna had worked here for 12 years, and she had grown used to the quiet. Most days, nothing happened. Ships passed by. Signals came and went. The universe moved slowly in this forgotten corner of the galaxy, but today was different. Yuna sat at her desk, reading reports from the inner worlds. Her aide, a small nervous creature named Duri, was organizing data files nearby. The station hummed with its usual soft sounds. Everything was normal until the emergency alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed across the room. Yuna jumped from her chair and ran to the main console. Her four-fingered hands moved quickly across the controls. A distress signal was coming through. And it was strong, very strong. "What is happening?" Duri asked, his voice shaking. He always worried too much. "Distress call," Yuna said. "From the Helix system." Duri's large eyes grew even larger. "The Talori homeworld? But they are peaceful farmers. They have no enemies." Yuna pulled up the signal and played it. A voice filled the room, speaking in the common galactic language. It was broken and full of fear. "This is Elder Miso of Talora Prime. We are under attack. Ships came from the dark spaces between stars. They are destroying everything. Our cities are burning. Our people are dying. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help. We cannot fight them. We are not warriors. Please. Please help us," the message repeated. Yuna felt cold inside. She knew what was attacking them. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Void Swarm. The Void Swarm was not like other species. They did not talk. They did not negotiate. They did not want land or resources or power. They only wanted to consume. Their ships were living things, grown from flesh and bone, and they moved through the galaxy like a plague. When they found a world, they ate it. They ate the plants, the animals, and the people. Then they moved on to the next world. No one knew where the Void Swarm came from. No one knew how to stop them. The Galactic Union had fought them many times, and every battle cost thousands of lives. The only way to save a world from the swarm was to send a massive fleet before the attack began. Once the swarm arrived, it was usually too late. "How far is the nearest Union defense fleet?" Yuna asked. Duri checked the data. His hands were trembling. 3 weeks away at maximum speed. 3 weeks. Yuna closed her eyes. The Talori would be dead in hours. Their entire civilization would be gone before help could arrive. "There must be something we can do," Duri said. "Someone closer. Anyone." Yuna thought hard. The Helix system was in a remote area, far from major shipping routes. There were no Union military bases nearby. There were no allied species with warships in that sector. There was nothing. Then she remembered something. A rumor. A story that most people did not believe. "Duri," she said slowly. "How far is Earth from the Helix system?" Duri looked at her like she had lost her mind. "Earth? The human homeworld? Ambassador, they are not Union members. They are isolationists. They refused to join us 50 years ago. They stay on their planet and ignore the rest of the galaxy." "I know what they are," Yuna said. "Answer my question. How far?" Duri checked the star maps. 4 hours at standard speed. "But Ambassador, we cannot contact them. They have made it very clear that they want nothing to do with galactic affairs. And even if they wanted to help, what could they do? They are a young species. They barely discovered faster than light travel 200 years ago. They have no real military. They are—" "Send the distress call on all frequencies," Yuna interrupted. "All of them, including the restricted Earth channels. That is against protocol." Duri was almost shouting now. "The Council will be very angry. Contacting non-member species during a crisis is forbidden. You could lose your position. You could be arrested." Yuna turned to face him. Her expression was hard. "Duri, millions of innocent people are about to die. If there is even a small chance that someone can help them, I will take that chance. I will break every rule in the Union. I will face any punishment. Send the signal. Dury stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded and turned to the console. His fingers moved across the controls. The distress call went out on every frequency, spreading across space in all directions. They waited. Minutes passed. The station was silent except for the soft hum of machines. Yuna watched the communication screens, hoping for any response. Dury sat in the corner, looking sick with worry. Nothing happened. Perhaps they did not receive it, Dury said quietly. Perhaps their equipment is too primitive. Yuna did not answer. She kept watching the screens. The Talori were dying right now. And she had done everything she could. It was not enough. It was never enough. Then the console made a sound. It was a soft beep, the kind that meant an incoming transmission. Yuna jumped forward and opened the channel. Static filled the air for a moment. Then a voice came through, speaking in clear, perfect galactic common. Station Valora, this is Admiral Park Jinu of the United Earth Navy. Yuna's heart stopped. United Earth Navy? The humans had a navy? That was impossible. All reports said they had only a few small patrol ships for protecting their solar system. The voice continued. It was calm and steady, like a man who had seen many battles and feared nothing. We received your distress call. We have heard the cries of the Talori people. We are changing course now. Our fleet will arrive at the Helix system in 3 hours. Fleet? Yuna looked at Dury. He looked back at her with the same confusion. Please hold your position, Admiral Park said. And tell the Talori to hold on. Help is coming. The transmission ended. The station was quiet again. Dury spoke first. Did he say fleet? How can they have a fleet? Our intelligence reports say they have nothing. They are supposed to be weak and isolated. Yuna did not know what to say. She did not understand what was happening. But for the first time in hours, she felt something that she had almost forgotten. Hope. She sent a message to Elder Miso on Talora Prime. Hold on, she said. Someone is coming to help you. Someone answered your call. In the darkness of space, something was moving toward the Helix system. Something that the galaxy had never seen before. The humans were coming, and nothing would ever be the same again. The sky above Talora Prime was burning. Elder Miso stood at the entrance of the underground shelter, looking up at the horror that had come to his world. Massive organic ships filled the heavens, blocking out the stars. They were ugly things, made of dark flesh and bone, with no windows and no lights. They were alive, and they were hungry. The Void Swarm had arrived 3 hours ago. In that short time, they had destroyed half of the planet's major cities. Millions were dead. Millions more were hiding underground, praying to ancestors who could not save them. Miso was old. He had led his people for 60 years, through good times and bad. He had seen droughts and floods and plagues, but he had never seen anything like this. The Talori were farmers and artists. They had no weapons. They had no warships. They had nothing but hope, and that was fading fast. Elder Miso. A young Talori called from inside the shelter. Please come inside. It is not safe. Miso did not move. I sent a distress call to the Galactic Union. They said someone is coming. Someone answered. Who? The Union fleet is weeks away. No one else is close enough. I do not know, Miso admitted. A species called humans. I have never heard of them. The young Talori looked confused. Humans? Are they powerful? Do they have strong ships? Miso shook his head slowly. I do not know anything about them. But someone is coming. That is all I know. Above them, another city exploded in flames. The swarm ships were moving closer. Their organic cannons firing blasts of acid that melted buildings and people alike. The screams of the dying filled the air even from this distance. Miso closed his eyes and prayed. He prayed to his ancestors, to the stars, to anyone who might listen. Please, he whispered. Please let them be real. Please let them come in time. Far above the planet, in the cold darkness of space, the Void Swarm continued its feast. Hundreds of their ships surrounded Telora Prime, launching smaller craft to harvest the surface. The Queen ship sat at the center of the formation. A massive living creature the size of a small moon. It controlled all the others, directing the attack with its alien mind. The swarm had no fear. They had conquered dozens of worlds. They had faced the Galactic Union's best ships and destroyed them. No one could stop them. No one would even try. This world was already theirs. Then space itself began to tear apart. It started with a single point of light, far from the planet. The light grew brighter and brighter, until it was painful to look at. Then it exploded outward, creating a massive rift in the fabric of reality. The rift glowed with blue fire, and through it came something that made the swarm pause for the first time in their existence. Ships, human ships. They poured through the rift like an endless river of metal and fire. Dreadnoughts came first. Massive warships covered in weapons. Each one was larger than the biggest Union battleship ever built. Behind them came carriers, releasing thousands of small fighter craft that spread out like angry insects. Cruisers and destroyers followed, their hulls painted dark gray with strange symbols on their sides. And then came the flagship. The UEN Sovereign emerged from the rift like a god emerging from heaven. It was enormous, bigger than anything the galaxy had ever seen on a battlefield. Its hull was covered in massive guns and missile launchers. Its engines burned with white fire. It moved with the confidence of something that had never known defeat. On the bridge of the Sovereign, Admiral Park Jinu stood with his hands behind his back, watching the tactical display. He was a man in his 50s, with gray hair and calm eyes. He wore the dark blue uniform of the United Earth Navy, and his chest was covered in medals from wars that the galaxy knew nothing about. "Admiral," said his tactical officer, a woman named Hana, "we have visual on the enemy, counting approximately 400 swarm vessels, including one Queen ship." "Weapons status?" Park asked. "All batteries charged and ready. Fighter squadrons are in formation. The fleet is awaiting your orders." Park studied the enemy formation. The swarm ships were ugly and primitive looking, but he knew they were dangerous. His intelligence officers had gathered everything they could about the Void Swarm over the years. He knew how they fought. He knew their weaknesses. And he knew they had never faced anything like the United Earth Navy. "Open a channel to the swarm," Park ordered. "All frequencies." "Channel open, Admiral." Park spoke clearly, his voice carrying across the void. "Void Swarm vessels. This is Admiral Park Jinu of the United Earth Navy. You have attacked a peaceful world. You have killed innocent people. This will stop now. Withdraw from this system immediately, or you will be destroyed." There was no response. The swarm never responded with words. They only attacked. "They are changing formation," Hana reported. "They are moving toward us." Park nodded. He had expected this. The swarm did not understand mercy. They did not understand warnings. They only understood violence. "Very well," Park said. He turned to face his crew. The men and women who had served with him for years. They were ready. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. All ships, weapons free, engaged the enemy. The battle began. On Telora Prime, Elder Miso heard the explosions in space. He looked up and saw lights flashing in the sky, brighter than any star. Something was happening up there. Something was fighting the swarm. "Elder Miso!" someone shouted from the shelter. "Come look at this." Miso hurried inside, where a group of Telori had gathered around an old communication screen. They had managed to receive a signal from one of their orbital satellites, showing what was happening in space above their world. Miso stared at the screen and could not believe what he was seeing. Ships were fighting the swarm. Not Union ships, with their gentle curves and soft colors. These were different. These ships were hard and angular, covered in weapons, designed for one purpose only: war. They moved with terrifying speed and precision, firing weapons that tore through swarm vessels like paper. "Who are they?" someone asked. "Humans," Miso whispered. They are called humans. On the screen, the battle continued to rage. The swarm was fighting back, but the humans were not stopping. They were not retreating, they were pushing forward, deeper into the enemy formation, destroying everything in their path. Miso watched a human dreadnought fire its main guns. The blast hit a swarm ship and broke it in half. Another human ship launched missiles that tracked their targets and exploded with nuclear fire. Fighter craft danced between the massive vessels, hunting down smaller swarm ships with deadly accuracy. The Talori around Miso were crying. Some were praying. Some were cheering. They had been certain they were going to die. And now strangers from a world they had never heard of were fighting to save them. They came, Miso said, tears running down his old face. They actually came. And where? In space. Admiral Park watched his fleet work. They were doing exactly what they had trained to do. After 200 years of hiding, 200 years of building in secret, humanity was finally showing the galaxy what it could do. Sir, Hana said, the swarm is starting to break formation. They were not expecting this level of resistance. Park smiled grimly. No one ever does. Continue the attack. Press them hard. Do not let them regroup. The battle was far from over, but Park knew something that the swarm did not understand yet. They had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked innocents. They had made the galaxy cry out for help. And that cry had been answered. By Earth's war fleet, Lieutenant Hana pushed her fighter craft into a sharp turn, dodging a stream of acid that would have melted through her hull. Her heart was beating fast, but her hands were steady on the controls. She had trained for this moment since she was 18 years old. Now, at 32, she was finally living it. Wolf Squadron. Stay tight, she said into her communication system. We have a group of harvesters heading toward the planet's surface. We need to stop them before they reach the civilian shelters. Copy that, Wolf Leader, came the response from her wingman, a young pilot named Teho. We are right behind you. Hana's squadron dove toward the planet, chasing a group of swarm harvester ships. These were smaller vessels designed to land on planets and collect organic material. In other words, they were designed to eat people. Hana was not going to let that happen. She locked onto the nearest harvester and fired. Her plasma cannons sent bright blue bolts screaming through space. They hit the harvester's organic hull and burned through it like fire through paper. The ship exploded, its pieces falling toward the atmosphere below. One down, Hana said. Keep firing. All around her, the battle was raging on a scale that most species could not imagine. The human fleet had pushed deep into the swarm formation, and the fighting was brutal. Dreadnoughts exchanged fire with swarm capital ships, their guns flashing like continuous lightning. Carriers launched wave after wave of fighters to protect the bigger ships from swarm-boarding creatures. Destroyers moved in packs, hunting down isolated swarm vessels and destroying them with coordinated attacks. On the bridge of the Sovereign, Admiral Park watched everything through his tactical display. The holographic map showed thousands of ships moving in complex patterns, fighting and dying in the cold void of space. Red markers showed swarm vessels. Blue markers showed human ships. Every few seconds, markers on both sides disappeared. Admiral, said Commander Suho, his first officer. We have lost the cruiser Indomitable. 70% of the crew evacuated before destruction. Park's jaw tightened. The Indomitable had been a good ship with a good crew. But he could not stop to mourn now. Redirect rescue shuttles to their location. Continue the attack. Sir, the swarm is fighting harder than expected. Our losses are mounting. I know, Park said quietly. But we are winning. Look at the numbers. It was true. For every human ship lost, the swarm was losing 10. Human weapons were simply more powerful, more accurate, and more deadly than anything the swarm had faced before. The organic armor of swarm ships could stop energy weapons from the Galactic Union, but it could not stop human kinetic rounds traveling at a fraction of the speed of light. It could not stop nuclear missiles that exploded with the force of small suns. It could not stop plasma beams that burned hotter than stars. Park thought about how they had gotten here. 200 years ago, humanity had discovered faster-than-light travel and reached out to the stars. They had found the Galactic Union and asked to join, but the Union had looked at them with pity and fear. Humans were too young, too violent, too dangerous. The Union remembered human history, their endless wars, their weapons of mass destruction. They said humans needed to prove they could be peaceful before they could join galactic civilization, so humanity went home. They closed their borders. They told the galaxy they wanted to be left alone. And in secret, they started building. They built ships. They built weapons. They built an entire military infrastructure hidden from galactic eyes. They did not do this because they wanted to conquer anyone. They did it because they knew the galaxy was dangerous. They had seen the reports about the Void Swarm, about pirate fleets, about aggressive empires that took what they wanted. Humanity decided that they would never be victims. They would be ready. For 200 years, they waited. They hoped they would never need to use what they had built. But when the distress call came, when innocent people cried out for help, they did not hesitate. "Admiral," said the communications officer, "we are receiving a message from Ambassador Yuna on Station Valora. She wants to speak with you." Park nodded. "Put her through." A holographic image appeared beside him. It was Yuna, the alien ambassador who had sent the distress call. Her large eyes were wide with shock and something else. Fear? Amazement? Park could not tell. "Admiral Park," she said, "I am watching the battle through our sensor network. I do not understand. Our intelligence said you had no military. Our reports said humans were weak and isolated. How is this possible?" Park smiled slightly. "Your intelligence was wrong, Ambassador. We have been preparing for a day like this for 200 years. We hoped it would never come, but when you sent that distress call, when those people asked for help, we knew we had to answer." "But why?" Yuna asked. "You do not know the Talori. They have nothing to offer you. Why would you risk your ships and your people for strangers?" Park was quiet for a moment. He looked at the battle still raging around them, at the ships fighting and dying. Then he answered, "Because that is what we do, Ambassador. Humans have done terrible things in our history. We have hurt each other. We have made weapons that could destroy our own world. But we have also learned that strength without compassion is evil. We have learned that when someone cries for help, you answer, even if they are strangers. Even if it costs you everything." Yuna stared at him. She did not know what to say. "Wolf Squadron to Sovereign." Hana's voice came through the communication system. "We have destroyed the Harvester Group. The civilian shelters are safe." "Good work, Lieutenant," Park replied. "Return to the carrier for resupply, then get back out there." "Yes, sir. But Admiral, the Queen ship is starting to move. I think it is trying to escape." Park's expression hardened. The Queen ship was the brain of the swarm. If it escaped, it would grow a new fleet and attack again. More planets would burn. More innocents would die. "All ships," Park said, his voice like iron. "The Queen ship is attempting to flee. This is unacceptable. No creature that preys on the helpless gets to run away today. All available units, converge on the Queen ship. We end this now." The human fleet responded immediately. Dreadnoughts turned their massive guns toward the Queen ship. Fighters and bombers formed attack wings and dove toward the giant creature. Destroyers moved to cut off its escape route. The Queen ship tried to run. It was fast for something so large. But it was not fast enough. Human weapons began hitting it from all sides. Railgun rounds punched through its organic armor. Nuclear missiles detonated against its flesh. Plasma beams burned away entire sections of its body. The Queen ship screamed. It was a psychic scream that touched every mind in the system, a cry of pain and rage and fear. For the first time, in its ancient existence, it understood what it meant to be hunted. Lieutenant Hana led her squadron in for the final attack. They flew straight at the Queen ship, dodging its defensive weapons, getting closer and closer. At the last moment, they launched their torpedoes and pulled away. The torpedoes hit the Queen ship's central core. The explosions were enormous, bright enough to be seen from the planet's surface. The Queen ship broke apart, its massive body splitting into pieces that drifted away into the void. All across the system, the remaining swarm ships went silent. Without the Queen ship to control them, they lost their coordination, their purpose. Some tried to fight on alone. Some tried to escape. Human ships hunted them down one by one, until nothing was left. On the bridge of the Sovereign, Admiral Park watched the last swarm ship die. The battle was over. They had won, but victory had a price. 47 human ships were destroyed. 12,000 sailors were dead. Park would remember every one of them for the rest of his life. "Sir," Commander Suho said quietly, "what do we do now?" Park looked at the planet below, at Telora Prime with its burned cities and terrified people. Then he looked at his fleet, battered but unbroken. "Now," he said, "we help them rebuild." The first human shuttle landed on Telora Prime 3 hours after the battle ended. Elder Miso watched it come down from the sky, this strange metal craft with its sharp angles and powerful engines. It was so different from the soft, curved ships of the Galactic Union. It looked like it had been built for war. The shuttle door opened, and humans stepped out. Miso had never seen a human before. They were strange creatures, tall and thin, with only 2 arms and 2 legs. Their skin came in different colors, from light to dark. Their eyes were small compared to Telori eyes, but they seemed to see everything. They moved with confidence, like people who knew exactly what they were doing. The humans were not soldiers. They wore white uniforms with red symbols on them. They carried boxes and equipment instead of weapons. One of them, a young woman with short dark hair, approached Miso and bowed slightly. "Elder Miso," she asked. Her voice was gentle and kind. "I am Dr. Minji from the UEN Medical Corps. We are here to help your wounded. Where do you need us?" Miso could not speak at first. He had expected many things when the humans arrived. He had expected warriors, conquerors, people who would demand something in return for their help. He had not expected doctors. "Our hospitals were destroyed," Miso finally said. "We have thousands of injured people in shelters across the region. We have almost no medicine left." Minji nodded. "We brought supplies. Lots of supplies. Just show us where to go, and we will set up field hospitals." She paused and put a hand on Miso's arm. "Elder, everything is going to be okay now. You are safe." For the second time in 2 days, Miso cried. Over the next few hours, more shuttles arrived. Human engineers came to repair power systems and water plants. Human soldiers came to secure areas and search for survivors in the ruins. Human ships in orbit began dropping relief supplies in containers that floated gently to the ground. The Telori watched all of this with amazement. The Galactic Union had promised to help them, but they were still weeks away. The humans had asked for nothing, promised nothing, known nothing about the Telori, yet here they were, working tirelessly to save a world that was not their own. 2 days after the battle, Ambassador Yuna arrived from Station Valora. She had requested permission to meet with Admiral Park, and he had agreed to receive her aboard the Sovereign. As her small diplomatic shuttle approached the massive human flagship, Yuna felt something she had not felt in a long time. Fear. The Sovereign was terrifying up close. It was covered in weapons, hundreds of them, enough to destroy entire fleets. Its armor was thick and scarred from battle. It looked like a machine designed by people who expected to fight against the entire universe and win. Yuna's shuttle landed in the Sovereign's hangar bay, and she stepped out with Duri close behind her. Human officers met them and escorted them through the ship's corridors. Yuna paid close attention to everything she saw. The humans moved with discipline and purpose. Their ship was clean and efficient. There was no decoration, no comfort. Everything was designed for function. These people could conquer the Galactic Union if they wanted to, Yuna thought. They could take whatever they wanted. Why haven't they? Admiral Park was waiting for her on the bridge. He looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. But he stood straight and met her gaze without hesitation. Around him, his crew continued working, monitoring systems and coordinating relief efforts. Ambassador Yuna, Park said, bowing slightly. Thank you for coming. I apologize for the informal setting, but we have much work to do. Admiral Park, Yuna replied. I should be the one thanking you. What you did was remarkable. You saved millions of lives. We did what was right, Park said simply. Nothing more. Yuna studied him carefully. He seemed honest. There was no hidden meaning in his words, no secret agenda in his eyes. He truly believed what he was saying. Admiral, I must ask you something, Yuna said. Why did you hide? For 200 years, you let the galaxy believe you were weak and isolated. Why? Park was quiet for a moment. Then he walked to a large window that looked out at the stars. When we first discovered faster-than-light travel, we were excited, he began. We thought the galaxy would welcome us. We thought we would find friends among the stars. Instead, we found fear. The Union looked at our history, at our wars, at the weapons we had created, and they were terrified of us. They told us we were too violent, too dangerous to join galactic civilization. So you went home and built a war fleet? Yuna asked. Does that not prove they were right to fear you? Park turned to face her. We built a fleet to protect ourselves. The galaxy is not a safe place. Ambassador. There are species like the Void Swarm that destroy everything they touch. There are empires that enslave weaker worlds. We decided that we would not be victims. We would be strong enough to defend ourselves, but you did not use your strength for conquest. Yuna said slowly. You did not attack anyone. You just waited. We hoped we would never need to fight, Park said. We hoped the galaxy would never give us a reason. But when your distress call came, when the Talori cried out for help, we knew we could not stay silent. We could not watch innocent people die and do nothing. That is not who we are. Yuna thought about this for a long time. She had spent her entire career working for the Galactic Union, believing it was the best hope for peace in the galaxy. But the Union had not saved the Talori. The Union was too slow, too careful, too afraid. The humans had saved them. What do you want now, Admiral? Yuna asked. You have proven your strength. The entire galaxy will know about this battle within days. What will you do with that power? Park smiled slightly. It was a sad smile, the smile of a man who carried heavy burdens. We want the same thing we have always wanted, Ambassador. Peace. Security. The chance to live our lives without fear. We are not interested in conquest. We have had enough of war. Humans have spent thousands of years fighting each other, and we almost destroyed ourselves many times. We have learned that violence only creates more violence. Then why build such a powerful military? Because sometimes violence is necessary to stop greater violence. Sometimes, the only way to protect innocents is to stand between them and those who would harm them. We do not want to fight, Ambassador, but we will fight, every single time. Whenever someone cries for help, whenever the innocent are in danger, we will answer. That is our promise to the galaxy. Down on Talora Prime, Elder Miso was walking through a field hospital that the humans had built. It was full of wounded Talori being treated by human doctors. Children who had lost their families were being comforted by human volunteers. Food and medicine were being distributed to everyone who needed them. A human soldier approached Miso. He was young, barely more than a boy, with a kind face and gentle eyes. Elder Miso, the soldier said. My name is Junho. Is there anything else you need? Anything we can do? Miso looked at him, at this strange creature from a distant world who had come to help people he had never met. Why? Miso asked. Why did you come? Why are you helping us? We have nothing to give you. Junho looked confused by the question. Because you asked for help, he said, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. You called out, and we heard you. What else were we supposed to do? Miso stared at him. In all his years, in all his dealings with other species, he had never heard anyone say something like that. Help was always conditional. Help always came with strings attached. But these humans seemed to truly believe that helping others was its own reward. "You are strange creatures," Miso said finally. "But I think I like you." Junho grinned. "We get that a lot." Above them, in orbit, the human fleet continued its work. Ships were being repaired, supplies were being distributed, and plans were being made for the future. The galaxy was watching, and everything was about to change. The humans were no longer hidden. They were no longer unknown. And they had made the universe a promise. When you call for help, they will answer. Always. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Talora Prime. The Galactic Union Assembly Hall was the largest building in known space. It floated in the heart of the Union capital system. A massive structure of crystalline light that could hold representatives from 10,000 species. Today, every seat was filled. Diplomats, leaders, and observers from across the galaxy had come to witness history. Earth had been offered membership in the Galactic Union. Admiral Park Jinu stood at the entrance of the Great Hall, wearing his formal uniform. The medals on his chest caught the light from 1,000 floating crystals. Beside him stood Commander Hana, now promoted after her bravery in the battle. She looked uncomfortable in her dress uniform, like a warrior forced to attend a party. "Ready, Admiral?" Hana asked. "I have commanded ships in battle," Park replied. "I have watched friends die and enemies burn. But I think public speaking terrifies me more than any of that." Hana laughed softly. "Just pretend they are all Void Swarm. That might help." Park smiled despite his nerves. "I will try to remember that." The great doors opened, and they walked into the assembly hall. The reaction was immediate. Every eye turned toward them. Some species looked at the humans with curiosity, others with fear, and still others with something that might have been hope. The humans walked down the central aisle, their footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. Ambassador Yuna was waiting for them at the central platform. She had worked hard over the past year to make this moment possible. Many in the Union had resisted the idea of accepting humans as members. They remembered the fear, the old reports about human violence and weapons. But Yuna had argued passionately in favor of humanity. She had told the story of the battle, of the humans who came when no one else could, who fought and died for strangers they had never met. In the end, the vote had been close, but humanity had been accepted. "Admiral Park," Yuna said, her voice carrying across the hall. "On behalf of the Galactic Union, I welcome you to this historic occasion." "Thank you, Ambassador," Park replied. "The people of Earth are honored to be here." He stepped up to the speaking platform and looked out at the sea of faces. So many different species, so many different cultures, all watching him, all waiting to hear what humanity had to say. Park took a deep breath and began to speak. "Representatives of the Galactic Union, thank you for this opportunity. 1 year ago, my people answered a distress call from a world called Talora Prime. We did not know the Talori. We had no treaties with them, no agreements, no obligations. But they called for help, and we answered." He paused, looking around the hall. "Many of you wonder about us. You wonder why we hid for so long. You wonder why we built such a powerful military in secret. You wonder if we are a threat to galactic peace. These are fair questions, and I will try to answer them. Humanity is not perfect. We have made terrible mistakes in our history. We have waged war against each other for thousands of years. We have created weapons that could destroy our own world. We have hurt each other in ways that still shame us. When we first came to the stars, the Union looked at this history and decided we were too dangerous. They were not entirely wrong." Murmurs spread through the assembly. No one had expected such honesty. "But humans are more than our mistakes," Park continued. "We are also dreamers. We are builders. We are people who look at problems and refuse to accept that they cannot be solved. When the Union rejected us, we could have become bitter. We could have tried to conquer others to prove our strength. Instead, we went home and made a choice. We would become strong enough to protect ourselves, but we would only use that strength to help others. For 200 years, we waited. We hoped we would never need to fight. We hoped the galaxy would remain peaceful. But we also prepared, because we knew that hope alone was not enough. When the Void Swarm attacked Telora Prime, we were ready. Not ready to conquer, ready to protect. In the audience, Elder Miso sat with tears streaming down his face. He had traveled across the galaxy to be here for this moment. Beside him sat Hana's mother, a quiet woman named Unji, who had raised her daughter to be brave and kind. They had become friends over the past year. The old alien and the human mother, bound together by the battle that had changed everything. Park's voice grew stronger as he continued. We are not asking you to forget our past. We are asking you to help us build a better future. Humanity wants to join the Galactic Union not to dominate or control, but to protect and serve. When worlds are threatened, we want to be there. When species face extinction, we want to help. When the innocent cry out, we want to answer. This is our promise to you. We will not start wars, but we will finish them. We will not seek power, but we will use our power to defend those who cannot defend themselves. We will not ask what you can give us. We will only ask how we can help. He paused one final time, looking out at the assembly with calm, steady eyes. The galaxy is a dangerous place. There are species like the Void Swarm that want only to destroy. There are empires that prey on the weak. There are threats that none of us can face alone. But together, we are stronger than any threat. Together, we can build a galaxy where every species can live in peace. That is what humanity wants. That is what we offer. Partnership, protection, hope. When you call, we will answer, always. Park stepped back from the platform. For a moment, there was silence. Then, slowly, one representative began to applaud. Then another. Then another. Within seconds, the entire assembly was standing, clapping, cheering. Species that had feared humanity were now celebrating them. Diplomats who had voted against their membership were wiping tears from their eyes. Ambassador Yuna stepped forward, her voice shaking with emotion. By the authority of the Galactic Union, I hereby welcome the United Earth to our family of species. May this be the beginning of a new era of peace and cooperation. The cheering grew louder. Park stood still, letting the moment wash over him. 12,000 human sailors had died to make this day possible. They had given their lives for a dream, a hope that humanity could be more than its dark history. Today, that dream was real. After the ceremony, there was a celebration. Park found himself surrounded by diplomats who wanted to shake his hand, ambassadors who wanted to discuss trade agreements, military leaders who wanted to know about human weapons. He answered their questions patiently, always polite, always humble. Eventually, he found a quiet corner where he could rest. Hana found him there, holding 2 glasses of something that looked like wine. Congratulations, Admiral, she said, handing him a glass. Or should I call you Ambassador now? Park laughed softly. I am still not sure what my title is, but I think I prefer Admiral. Ambassador sounds too peaceful. Hana sat down beside him. Through the window, they could see the vast galaxy spreading out before them, billions of stars holding billions of worlds. Do you think we made the right choice? Hana asked quietly. Coming out of hiding, joining the Union, promising to protect everyone? Park thought about her question for a long time. I think we made the only choice we could live with, he finally said. Hiding was safe, but it was not right. We had the power to help people, and we did nothing with it. Now we have the chance to make a real difference. It will not be easy. We will face challenges we cannot imagine. But I would rather fight for something good than hide from something bad. Hana nodded slowly. I felt the same way during the battle. When I was flying toward the swarm, I was scared, but I was also proud. Proud to be human, proud to be part of something bigger than myself. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, on 100 different worlds, people were going about their lives. Some were happy. Some were sad. Some were afraid. But now they all knew something that they had not known before. When trouble came, when darkness threatened, when all hope seemed lost, there was someone who would answer their call. Far across the galaxy, a new distress signal began to broadcast. A small colony on the edge of known space was under attack by raiders. The colonists were hiding in their shelters, praying for help that might never come. In the assembly hall, Park's communicator beeped. He looked at it, read the message, and stood up. "Duty calls," he said to Hana. "There is a colony that needs help." Hana stood up beside him, her eyes bright with purpose. "Then let us go help them." They walked out of the celebration together, heading toward their shuttle, toward their fleet, toward another battle, in an endless war against darkness. Behind them, the Galactic Union continued its celebration. Ahead of them, innocent people waited for rescue, and the humans answered the call, just as they always would, forever.